And so, hello there, and welcome back to yet another Night of the Movies podcast. And in these podcasts, I talk all things movies and TV, and whatever I want, whenever I want. And in today's podcast, I'm reviewing Theatre Camp. But before I do that, I should say what's at the start of every podcast I do, which is, if you are watching this podcast on YouTube, hello to my viewers. But you prefer to listen to your podcasts, well, guess what? You can with this one too, at Night of the Movies on Spotify. And if you are already listening to this podcast on Spotify, hello there, little podcast listeners, then you can also check this podcast out visually on my YouTube channel at Night of the Movies on that platform as well. Likewise, wherever you may be watching or listening to the podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the podcast, of course, and leave me some feedback on things to improve on in future podcasts, because there's always things to improve on, and feedback is, as ever, much appreciated. So, let's get into it. Theatre Camp. So this came out about a week ago now, and I was planning to watch it when it came out, although it did not release in my local cinema. It was not showing at my local cinema, so I had to travel to go and see it, which I'm fine about. It just means I have to take a large portion of my day to go and do that. I have to take out half my day to go and travel a bit to go and watch this film, which I'm fine doing, but, you know, it meant I couldn't watch it on the day it came out. And the film is co-directed by Molly Gordon and Nick Leibman, apologies if I'm mispronouncing his name, and it's co-written by Noel Galvin, Nick Leibman, and Molly Gordon and Ben Platt, who also both star in the film. And Molly Gordon, who is a co-director in the film and a co-writer in this film, was also a part of the later season of The Bear, in which she played Carmen's, the main character's girlfriend. And she was one of the reasons that this film was catching my attention. And also, there was another star of The Bear. There's another star of The Bear in this film, in Ayo Adiburi. And apologies for mispronouncing her name there, but she's one of the best parts of The Bear. And when I heard she was in this film, I was like, okay, now I've got my interest. You've got two of the best parts of the last season of The Bear. Now, okay, you've got my interest. I'm gonna go and see this film. And basically, the film follows the story of a theatre camp that is run by this woman called Joan, but she falls into a coma, and her son, who knows almost nothing about theatre, has to step in and try and save the theatre camp from closing down and making sure the camp runs as smoothly as possible. However, the staff and kids are eccentric and over the top, and many more problems arise, which are all caught through this fictional documentary that is filming everything that is taking place at this theatre camp. And that's basically the plot of the film. And honestly, I really liked this movie. It got so much better as it progressed. And, you know, it does have problems. I'm not going to sit here and say it's a perfect movie. You know what? I'm not even going to sit here and say it's a brilliant film. But at the same time, I loved the high-octane chaos and madness of this film, and I loved how similar it felt to The Bear as well. Like, I've already mentioned the fact that there are two actors from The Bear in this film, and I feel like the people behind this film, the filmmakers and the writers and whatnot, in fact, I even said that one of the co-writers in this film was a star in the late season of The Bear. I do feel that this film took a lot of inspiration from The Bear. It is like The Bear, but at a theatre camp. That is what it's like. It's like The Bear, but at a theatre camp. And I mean that in the best way possible, because you do have that intensity and chaos that you get in The Bear, especially in The Bear's filmmaking, which made that show stand out for me. And by the way, if you don't know already, The Bear is one of my favourite TV shows out right now. In fact, it probably is my favourite TV show currently still airing, and I'm a mega fan of it. Love it to pieces. And it does feel a bit like Molly Gordon did her bit on The Bear, did her job on The Bear, played Carmen's girlfriend, and then came to co-write and co-direct this film and took a lot of inspiration from her time on The Bear to this film. and took a lot of ideas and wanted to bring that same atmosphere into this film. And I really liked the way that was done. And Ayo Debray, again, sorry for mispronouncing her name, but her character in The Bear is very similar to her character in this film. There's a lot of similarities with The Bear, a lot of similarities. And I'm not saying any of that as a criticism, because I liked all that stuff. I liked all the similarities that this film had to The Bear. And I probably won't be the first to mention that this film feels similar to The Bear, but I did want to mention it because, as I already mentioned, I'm a mega fan of The Bear, and the poster for this film even looks like the posters we've had from Season 1 and Season 2 of The Bear. So yeah, this film shares a lot of similarities with The Bear, and I also loved how believable and real everything in the film felt. Like, I don't know the actors in this film particularly well. I know a couple of them, as already mentioned, but I don't know many of the actors particularly well, so maybe that's why I found it more believable. But more believable than I thought I would, shall I say. But I was really surprised by how real I just felt everything was. And I think one of the reasons I felt that the film was so real and so was just so believable, everything in the film was so believable. I think one of the reasons I felt that was because of the mockumentary style filmmaking. It's similar to This Is Spinal Tap, the Rob Reiner film, which is just brilliant. And this film shares a lot of inspiration. It says a lot of similarities with Spinal Tap as well. You can clearly see that this film has been inspired by Spinal Tap. That Spinal Tap inspired this film. And the mockumentary style filmmaking, I thought, added to the engagement that I had with this film when I was watching the cinema, because it does throw you straight in the deep end. Like, literally, from the opening scene of the film, you're in there. This is the theatre camp, this is who's who, it just throws you straight in the deep end. And side note here, I used to do swimming quite a lot. I used to do swimming lessons quite a lot when I was much younger. And I remember my very first swimming lesson, I was thrown in the deep end of this diving pool at my old swimming pool that's been knocked down now. And the feeling I had swimming in that deep end of the diving pool was very much like the feeling I had swimming in the deep end. Well, it's very much like the feeling I had watching the first 10 to 15 minutes of the film. It throws you straight in. These are the characters. It's very eccentric. Everyone's a bit over the top. Everyone is chewing at scenery. But it works. The mockumentary style makes it engaging, and it makes it funny to watch, because you almost feel like you're watching these characters get caught in the act as well, which I really liked. And I also thought that the kids were great in this film. There are a lot of kids in this film, a lot of child actors, and I don't know if anyone else feels this, but sometimes when you get child actors in films, they come across as quite annoying and unbelievable, and yeah, you just don't believe that they are actually real kids, you know what I mean? And you never feel that in this film, though. The child actors are all great, and none of them were really too annoying. I mean, there's one that I found a bit annoying, who was meant to be this aspiring agent, and I never really liked that storyline, and so that's maybe why I didn't like him so much. But all the other child actors, I just think did a really, really great job at not being annoying, and I mean that in the best way possible. They are all great in this film, and the film does have problems. I've already alluded to this a bit, but it is one of those films which has such a pace to it that if you had one slow scene, it feels like everything would crumble down, and it just wouldn't work anymore. It feels like if there was one slow scene in the middle of this film, the second half of the film wouldn't work. But because the film moves at such a pace, you don't really care about the problems too much, because there are parts of the film which just don't work and are cheesy, and they'll be like, oh, really, we're doing that? I'm not sure if that totally worked there. And I do think that maybe it would have worked better as a TV show, because I feel it is a bit too short and they skim over things quite quickly. And I'm not sure if everything they were going for for in this film was totally the best executed. But at the same time, though, it didn't really matter because of the pace. And I sat there, and about 50 minutes in the film, I was going, oh, you know what? This is actually really good. And I'm going with it. I'm finding it funny. I'm finding it funny in the way it wants me. I mean, I didn't find all the jokes funny, but I found more of the jokes funny than I expected to. I didn't really know this was a comedy. And I did find more of it funny than I expected it to. I found all the characters and the children believable. I think all the performances are great, and Molly Gordon, you can really tell that she is the force behind this film. I mean, she's a co-director in the film, and Nick Liebman did also direct it, but you can tell she is. You can tell she has her heart in this film now. When she shows up on screen, and when she is in scenes with Ben Platt, who was also a co-writer in the film, you can tell they have their heart in the film, and the ending worked on an emotional level. The ending was actually quite emotive and quite moving, and it really surprised me because I didn't know what I was going in for whatsoever. I'd seen 10 seconds of a clip from this film, and it didn't really interest me too much, but I still chose to go and see it, and I didn't know what I was getting myself in for, but you know what? I had a great time with it, and according to IMDb, the film was shot in 19 days, by the way. 19 days. That's the same time it took to film Whiplash, which is one of my all-time favourite films. I want to throw that little fact in it. But yeah, apparently the film was shot in 19 days, which is really surprising because, I mean, it turns out great, and everything feels like it's been well thought through. It feels like it's been well rehearsed, and yeah, there were some parts which don't really work, and you also get title cards throughout the film. You know, like you get in a lot of early silent cinema that tell you what's happening and tell you the relationship between these two characters or whatever. You know, you do have black title cards with white writing that come throughout the film, and that is a bit unengaging, but overall I was invested in this theatre camp. I believed in everything going on, and I cared about everything going on. I felt that the ending of the film was quite moving. I mean, there is kind of a mid-credit scene. I say kind of because I don't know if it counts the mid-credit scene. It's really the ending. But the mid-credit scene, if you will, is a bit silly. But the end of the film overall is very moving. It's also very funny. It's very well shot. And I think it's well written. And you know what? I really, really liked it. And it's one of those things. It's one of those films that the more I think about, the more I like. I can completely understand why someone might get annoyed by this film, or it might not be someone's cup of tea, and you know why someone might get frustrated by the atmosphere and the feel of the film, because it is constantly moving, and it is constantly this breakneck pace to it. But I liked it. I liked it quite a lot, and yeah, I had a really good time watching this film. And it's not brilliant, but you know what? It works really, really well. And you know what? I'm even prepared to say this. I loved it. The more I think about it, the more I just think, yeah, that was a cinema experience that I really didn't expect, and I can't believe how invested and engaged and how immersed I was into this film as well, which is something I didn't really expect to say. Like, the film, I think, is about an hour and 3/4. It's about an hour and 45 minutes, I might be incorrect, but it's under the 2-hour mark, but it feels like it's about an hour. It got to the end, I was like, is that the end? That's the end of the film? Wow, that just flew by. And so, yeah, all in all, I absolutely loved it. And, you know, it's a strange film, but it's a strange, chaotic film about a theatre camp. And that's pretty much all you need to know about it. And that and many other reasons is why I'm going to give a theatre camp, I'm going to give it a 8 out of 10. Yeah, this film is great, and the reason I'm giving it an 8 out of 10 is because I did end up loving it. It's got problems, and I'm not sure if it totally works, but at the same time, I think it does. There's something about this film which slips under your skin. It gets under your skin, and, you know, not in the way a horror film does, but in the way that you just start caring about everything going on, and you're not really sure why, but at the same time, you were sort of enjoying it. I don't know. I found it wildly entertaining, and as I already slightly alluded to there, just before I gave my rating, it is a strange film. It is an odd film, and that might be a reason that it's not for everybody. But it is a reason that it worked for me. I don't know what it's about, strange films, odd films, but they just press a button with me. They just click with me where other mainstream films don't quite. I was watching this film, and if I'm being honest, I didn't really know whether I liked it until about the 10 to 15 minute mark, as what he said. But then, when it started to kick in and when I started to get it, I really started to dig the film a lot more. And, it does really feel like The Bear, the TV show The Bear, but at a theatre camp and with kids. That's what it feels like. And I'm surprised how believable I felt it was as well, because, I thought it was going to feel like a play, but it doesn't. It's really good. Far better than I expected it to be. And yeah, I really liked this film, and I found it visually engaging. I got invested in what was going on. I cared about everything, and I just had a really great time watching it. Yeah. It's a strange film, and it's chaotic, and it's also a film about a theatre camp. And that pretty much sums up the film. It's a strange, chaotic film about a theatre camp. And that sums up that just sums up the film as a whole, and that also sums up why I ultimately really, really, really liked it. And so, all in all, as I already said, I'm going to say that theatre camp, I'm going to say that it's an 8 out of 10 from me. Anyway, guys, that is it for today's podcast. If you have seen Theatre Camp, let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section below, because I'd love to hear what people think of this film. Maybe you are the complete opposite to me, and you watched it and it really frustrated you and annoyed you and you didn't get along with any of it. And if that's the case, let me know why in the comment section below. But if you are like me and you did enjoy the film, let me know too in the comment section below. And if you haven't yet, please do click down below and like, subscribe on this podcast. I look forward to many more podcasts coming very, very soon on this channel. As already said, thank you as always for watching or listening, and I will see you guys again soon. But bye for now. Bye.